Hi, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at creating portraits in the Egyptian style in the profile. You're going to start with your own image. You're going to need a pencil, some glue, some scissors, some colored Sharpies, an eraser, a large sheet of paper, and eventually some watercolors. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut out your face and put it on your page. We don't need your whole head because we're doing it in that profile style. You just need a little bit of your neck, and your chin, over the edge of your lips, your nose, up the front. You don't have to worry about that other eye or eyelashes in the Egyptian profile. They take those out because they simplify things. And then you're going to cut back to right about where you're going to go down past your ear. Because the rest of that we're going to turn into an Egyptian style of clothing. Maybe a picture down here, we'll snip that off. And we're going to glue it right about here on our paper. I like to use this bottle with a little brush because it makes sure that the paint doesn't get too thick around my edges, but I can get pretty close to my edges with it. If I go a little over, that's okay. No big deal. We can just let it dry. It'll dry clear. And the Sharpies will go right on top of it. Like that. I turn it over, glue myself on. Make sure all those edges stick down. I'll put the lid back on my glue and screw it on there nice and tight so it doesn't dry out. Then the next step is I'm going to take my pencil and I want to start designing those Egyptian headdresses and collars that we've looked at on some of our other videos. And I'm going to pick one of the female designs since I'm a girl. I'm going to start sketching that out. I always want to start off the edge of my head up here, like you would do the large crescent. And then the bob back, and then of course a lot of times they'll have all those different sets of wings that wrap around. Since the sun god Ra was up in the sky, and we'll have some different headband type things, and of course we'll have my hair that'll come down out of all of that. That always curve around the shoulders. And then down here for my collar, because my neck doesn't go all the way down, I can imagine where that's going to go with the collar. Kind of come off like this. Have that rounded look. I'm going to go down off the page where you can't see because my page is a little bit bigger than all of my screen area. But you want to take up as much space on that paper as possible when decorating and designing, so you can figure out how much you want to put on and what kind of neat animals or critter shapes you want to have come off the fronts. I'm going to speed the rest of this up for you. Now that you have finished doing all of the pencil lines, the next step is going to be to take your different colored Sharpies and start figuring out what you're going to paint the different sections. Because if I use a red Sharpie, that means I'm going to use red watercolor to fill that area in, and you're going to outline each of those areas. So once you finish getting everything outlined, then you're going to go back with your eraser and start erasing any of the pencil lines that might still accidentally be showing through, or places where you've changed your mind. Of course, the next part of the process is we're going to go through and we're going to paint with watercolors. You don't want to paint wet next to wet, so I can't paint both of these two different colors until one of them dries. I'm also going to be using a small pointy brush to make sure that I can stay in between all of my lines. I don't want to go over my edges. Now for any of the places that you designated as yellow, we're actually going to be using gold paint. So I'm going to be passing that out to you during class, or you can get some at home. And you're going to want to get a very fine tipped brush, and when you paint that gold paint on, it's going to go on pretty thin, but it's still going to be shiny. So don't think you need to put a whole bunch of gobs and layers on. You just want a nice thin layer on there so that it reflects the light really well. Once you have this part finished, it's going to go on the drying rack, and next time when you come, we're going to cut it out and put it on a black background. So welcome back. Now that these have had a chance to dry, we're going to cut them out and put them on a black background. So when we do the background, we could just put it on here, but that's kind of plain. So in the background, I think what I want to do is do some Egyptian symbols. So I'm going to just figure out where I want to put my head on here first. And then I'm going to trace around my head very gently with a lighter colored pencil. And this will tell me where I have to do writing and where I don't have to do the Egyptian writing, because I don't want to be doing it all and then just cover it up with my picture. But you want to be careful that you're tracing nicely, because when you glue this down, you don't want those pencil lines to show up on your paper, right? So I'm doing it very, very gently and very carefully. So now I know I want all of my writing in this space out on the outside and not the inside.